Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is September 5. Today in our daily Bible reading, we have a very lengthy reading that really is only about half of this section because we go back now to the prophecies of Ezekiel, and we're going to see here today a very, very detailed vision that Ezekiel is given of the temple. Now, this makes for maybe some tedious reading, and it causes us to question, why would God give so much detail, not just of the building of the tabernacle, which we saw earlier, not just of the building of Solomon's temple, which we saw earlier, but even now of this grand vision of Ezekiel of the temple. So there's something going on here that is extremely important to God. Now, what I want to do today, because the reading is rather cumbersome, I want us to just focus primarily on the commentary section of our reading today at the beginning of our reading on page 1136, because here is a good summation, a good explanation, not only of what Ezekiel is seeing, but why it's important. So let's read these words together. It has been some 12 years since any recorded word of the Lord came to Ezekiel. In what seems to be a mere continuation of his previous futuristic vision, Ezekiel sees now the great temple. The vision reminds one in many ways, particularly in its attention to detail, of two earlier descriptions that I've just mentioned, of the tabernacle in the wilderness and of Solomon's magnificent temple in Jerusalem. The similarity suggests that to the people of Israel, one of the most important features of the restoration is the rebuilding of the now ruined temple. Ezekiel's prophecy must surely give renewed hope to this downcast nation, yet his vision casts another image far beyond the time when the nation will be reestablished and the temple will be rebuilt. This becomes clear when it is realized that the rebuilt temple will not have the physical beauty of the one which it replaces, and that the dimensions of the great temple described here are on a much grander scale than could possibly be built in the soon-to-be reconstructed city of Jerusalem. There are also significant differences to be seen in the religious service of the great temple. Notably missing, for example, are the Ark of the Covenant, the golden lampstand, the bread of the presence, and the veil. There is no observance of the Feast of Weeks and no Day of Atonement, the holiest of all days, nor will the Levites serve as they have served under Moses' law. Although there will still be priests, there is no high priest. Instead, there will be a prince or a succession of princes who will offer sacrifices as representatives of the people. What Ezekiel is about to be shown is something far different from anything he or his people have known to this time. As he was at the beginning of his ministry, Ezekiel is once again taken by the hand of the Lord to the land of Israel. There he is shown symbolically the new temple to come, its worship rituals, its celebration, its servants and priests, its laws, and the division of the land surrounding it. So this is a truly grand vision. So in the very first paragraph of our reading, in Ezekiel's words, we hear this: "In visions of God, he took me to the land of Israel and set me on a very high mountain, on whose south side were some buildings that looked like a city. He took me there, and I saw a man whose appearance was like bronze. He was standing in the gateway with a linen cord and a measuring rod in his hand. The man said to me, 'Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears and pay attention to everything that I am going to show you, for that is why you've been brought here. Tell the house of Israel everything you see.'" And so then in this vision, Ezekiel goes with this man and his measuring rod throughout the city. Ezekiel is shown the east gate. He is shown the outer court. It is measured. The north gate, the south gate, the gates to the inner court, The rooms all around the temple for preparation, the rooms that are designated for the priests, the most holy place, the side rooms, all the measurements of these places and the measurements of the temple itself, decorations, tables and doors, even how the priests' rooms are to be used. And on page 1141, we read about that. The north and south rooms facing the temple courtyard are the priests' rooms, where the priests who approach the Lord will eat the most holy offerings. There they will put the most holy offerings, the grain offerings, the sin offerings, and the guilt offerings, for the place is holy. And here we're going to start to see all of this designation of everything being holy as opposed to what is common. Once the priests enter the holy precincts, they are not to go into the outer court until they leave behind the garments in which they minister, for these are holy. They are to put on other clothes before they go near the places that are for the people. So again, there's this distinction of what is holy from what is not. We read about the outer temple area. It had a wall around it, 500 cubits long and 500 cubits wide, to separate the holy from the common. There's that language again. Then there's this fascinating description of God's glory entering the temple. Ezekiel says, I saw the glory of the God of Israel coming from the east. His voice was like the roar of rushing waters, and the land was radiant with his glory. The vision I saw was like the vision I had seen when he came to destroy the city, and like the visions I had seen by the Kibar River. And I fell face down. The glory of the Lord entered the temple through the gate facing east. Then the Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. And then we read of the holiness of the temple. Son of man, he says, this is the place of my throne and the place of the soles of my feet. This is where I will live among the Israelites forever. The house of Israel will never again defile my holy name, neither they nor their kings by their prostitution and the lifeless idols of their kings and their high places. They defiled my holy name by their detestable practices, so I destroyed them in my anger. Now let them put away from me their prostitution and the lifeless idols of their kings, and I will live among them forever. Again, the emphasis on the presence of God and his holiness. This vision is for the sinner's shame. Listen to this. Son of man, describe the temple to the people of Israel, that they may be ashamed of their sins. So what we see here is that part of the reason, at least, for all of this detailed description is to show the holiness of God. It is also to cause the Israelites to feel shame for their sins. Isn't that amazing? It sounds like just tedious reading, but God is being honored and sinners are being made to feel shame for their sins. We read about the surrounding area of the temple is also holy. The altar and then the dedication of the altar. We read about privileges that are given, and all of this is pointing to some glorious day, really, when not just the temple in Jerusalem exists, but a day when there is a holy city, a holy dwelling place of God, where all of God's people join him to live forever in eternity. That's what we all long for. And so maybe this vision of the temple that Ezekiel has is just kind of whetting our appetite even today for a glorious city where we'll one day live forever with God. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.